fate irony. At the age of 41, Julian can be considered a successful man. At the peak of his career, his family is happy and warm, admired by many people. Most notably, recently, he was appointed by the board of directors to director of a large corporation in this magnificent city. And recently, Julian's second child has just been born, another boundless happiness for his family. This man is busy standing at the top of fame, but he does not know that a terrible event is about to happen in his life. One day, Julian's wife was surprised to see her husband suddenly come home from work very early today. She happily ran to the door to meet her. "Honey, why are you leaving so early today?" Julian's face was happy and comfortable. "I just finished a big project. The results were very good, so I came home early today." After dinner, Julian immediately went to the bathroom. Today he wants to rest early. It has been a long time since he had such an idle evening. When Julian was scrubbing his body, suddenly the light in the bathroom went out. He called out to his wife, "Honey, why did you turn off the light?" "I'm still taking a shower." The wife's reply came from outside. "What did you say? When did I turn off the lights? I'm in bed." Julian thought to himself that the lamp must be broken, so he didn't think much. Anyway, a little light from outside the glass door is enough for this time. Just like that, he continued to wipe his body until he saw a sudden flash of light that made him jump. On the dim bathroom mirror appeared a woman in red with messy long hair reflected. Although Julian was shocked, he thought that his wife might be pretending to be a ghost to scare him, so he pretended to be calm. "Honey, I know it's you. Who doesn't sleep at night and scares me like that?" But at this moment, a voice from Julian's wife echoed from the outside, making him afraid to raise the hair on the back of his neck. "Hey, have you finished your bath yet? Who are you talking to in there?" After determining that his wife was outside, Julian glanced up again at the woman in red reflected in the mirror. She was a thin woman, her skin pale and bloodless. There are also dots on the skin of the face like rotten sores because of decomposition. It is clear that this is not a person but a ghost. Julian's dizziness caused him to lose his balance, plus the slippery bathroom floor caused him to fall over. A heavy fall caused him to lose consciousness. Fortunately, Julian was not seriously injured, not long after he woke up to find his wife beside him. Seeing tears in the corner of the wife's eyes, she was obviously very frightened. "Honey, what are you doing? Please wake up, don't scare me." Julian touched his head. His mind was still a bit unsettled, grimaced and said, "It's okay. Just forget it, maybe you're dizzy." Julian's wife is still worried. "Do you feel any pain or discomfort anywhere? I will take you to the hospital to check." Julian smiled, pretending to be awake and standing up, but the fact that the fall just caused the aftershock was not light. Julian waved his hand and insisted that everything was okay. "I'm fine, just slipped and fell, it's okay, don't worry." Both returned to normal and went to bed that night. But that same night, Julian had a nightmare. In a dream, he finds himself in a dark room. The room is narrow and dark, with no door, no light coming in. It's like a secret and ghostly cellar. A scary laugh resounded. The woman in red appeared again. Julian was afraid to call for help, afraid that the other ghost would come and harm him. "Help, save me, help me." The witch coldly walked over, sneered, and said, "Don't scream in vain. No one can hear your cry for help, and don't expect anyone to save you." Then the witch said softly, the sound was as creepy as if it were right in Julian's ears, "Because this is in your dream." Julian was now scared and weakly fell to the ground. "Who are you? Why are you bothering me? Why did you come to me?" The woman laughed again, her voice mixed with mockery and anger. "Who are you asking me? You ask who I am? I gave you my youth, and now you don't remember who I am." Julian hesitated for a few seconds, then his eyes were surprised. "Are you really Sophia?" "Finally, you remember me." The woman in red smiled with disdain and slowly walked closer to Julian. "I was with you for 5 years, sacrificing for you, but in the end, you abandoned me, killed me because you didn't want to divorce your wife. Today I will take my revenge. I will make a scum like you pay off all your debt to me, you deserving of death," the witch said as she stretched out her rough and sore hands to try to squeeze Julian's neck. "Bastard, you die." His neck was squeezed tight. Julian no longer had the strength to resist, feeling that he was dying slowly like a lamb being slaughtered. His breathing gradually became heavier, and his consciousness became hazy. But in the ear is the voice of his wife, "Honey, wake up, wake up." Feeling a push against him, he jerked awake. His wife is worried next to him. It turns out he just had a horrible nightmare. Julian was awakened from his haunting dream, but he was still full of fear. It took a while before he could relax again. His wife was naturally very worried when she saw her husband in this state. She described Julian's recent appearance. "You were struggling a lot earlier. Your hands were strangling yourself. Your face was red. No matter how I called you, you wouldn't wake up." The wife's eyes were filled with concern. "If it's a nightmare, it must be real. The feeling is so real that you're like that." Seeing his wife's concern, Julian felt very touched and replied, "Honey, don't worry too much. I'm fine. Maybe I've been worrying about the project too much lately, so I'm so nervous." Julian patted his wife's head and coaxed her to sleep first. "Go back to sleep. I'll go out to smoke for a while." After that, Julian immediately walked out the door and sat down on the sofa in the living room. Although his mood had calmed down, how could he forget the woman's face? The ghost's face haunted and appeared in Julian's mind more and more clearly. He sat down to light a cigarette and thought about the time 9 years ago. That year, Julian got a job at a domestic investment company because of his excellent performance in the industry. With the ability to work sensitively and flexibly since joining the company, Julian has been trusted by his superiors to directly handle important projects. At that time, Julian was 32 years old, and Sophia was 24 years old. They are the 2 youngest members of the team. They share many interests and are both excellent people at work. The two's relationship quickly progressed from a colleague to a close friend. However, after a long business trip, the two have crossed the line, making them no longer normal friends. At that time, Julian had a wife. Sophia became the second woman, Julian's lover. After that, Julian fell deeper and deeper into a sneaky relationship with his mistress, to the extent that he often lied to his wife to come home late, the familiar lie of men. "Honey, I have work to do today, so I'll stay at the company. You have to eat first, don't wait for me." Julian also bought an apartment on the other side of the city to live with Sophia. Gradually the second house became a place where he frequented more than the real home. Thought of living in love and honey with a sneaky relationship. But one day 4 years ago, Julian personally tore apart the place he called the home with his little mistress. That day, Sophia prepared a hearty meal and wore a striking red dress that accentuated her slim and attractive figure. Julian was a bit surprised. He knew that Sophia was trying to give him a surprise. What's going on with such a grandiose day today? Sophia's cheeks were as red as peaches, smiling as she took out a piece of paper. "I have something to show you." Sophia picked up the ultrasound results and happily said, "I'm 3 months pregnant." When Julian heard this news, his face suddenly darkened. He raised his head, and the smile on his lips disappeared. Sophia could clearly see the change in her lover's face. Her smile also froze at that moment. "Honey, What's wrong with you? Why aren't you happy? This baby is the crystallization of the love between you and me. Finally, after 5 years, we have our baby. Julian approached, put his hand on Sophia's shoulder, and said, "Baby, you know that I have a family." Sophia was humiliated, with tears in her eyes. "This is what I want to tell you today. We have a baby together. I can't let a child be born without a father, so I want you to divorce your wife and marry me." "Sophia, you know this is impossible. My career is on the rise. If I get a divorce now, how will my colleagues and leaders look at me?" Julian said with the most serious attitude ever. Hearing that, Sophia's heart was broken as if her intestines were broken, not willing to be a lover in the dark. "I don't care. My child can't be without a father. If you don't divorce, I will meet your wife to tell you everything to see if she still wants to keep you." Julian's mind was worried. After 5 years of working in the company, his superiors finally trusted him, and he was about to be promoted. If the affair is revealed, all previous efforts will be in smoke. Thinking of this, Julian lost his patience and shouted, "Please listen to me, don't go crazy because of this." Sophia also refused to hold back. "What did you just say? Are you saying I'm crazy? I've been sneaking with you for 5 years, and now you're going to leave my baby and me mercilessly like that?" At this time, Sophia fell into unprecedented despair. Her mood became very unstable, and she took the fruit knife on the table. She slowly walked in front of Julian. "Listen, if you can't kill my baby and me today, you have to choose a future for my baby and me. You have to divorce your wife to marry me." Facing Sophia's provocation, Julian was completely unyielding. It can be seen that at this moment, both are insane. "Sophia, don't force me. If you dare to do something stupid against my will, as long as you step out of this door, I will. I won't let you live in peace." But up to this moment, this little mistress was unafraid to ignore the man's threats. "What dare you do to me? Do you think I can't? I'll run and tell your poor wife right now." Then suddenly Sophia was talking. Her face suddenly froze, her eyes widened, tears still running down her cheeks. When she looked down, a fruit knife was stuck in her stomach. Her eyes stared in shock at Julian. He was the man who had been sneaking with her for 5 years. However, she was not officially a husband and wife by law. She actually considered him her husband. That man's face was the one she loved so much, but not anymore. Now he is like a cold-blooded demon who dares to kill her and her baby. Sophia looked at the man painfully, but then everything became more and more blurred. The man's evil face was no longer visible, and then everything went dark. Then she fell on a large pool of blood. Sophia's eyes also slowly closed, tears welling up in the corners of her eyes. Julian regained his senses and discovered that the ashtray was full of cigarette butts. Until now, he was so absorbed in the old memories that he didn't realize how long he had been sitting here and how many cigarettes he had smoked. Then he sighed, muttering to himself, "Sophia, it seems you still haven't left me." The next day, Julian did not go to work as usual. His car did not go to the company but appeared somewhere else. It was a small alley, also because this alley was too small to fit a car, so he got out of the car and walked inside. After approaching the end of a small alley, Julian arrived at the place he needed to go, a house. He is looking for a fortune teller named Lee, the most famous fortune teller in this area. Quaint temperament but is a reliable place to handle spiritual matters. Pushing open the door to enter, Julian saw an old man with white hair sitting in front of a square wooden table. Before Julian spoke to introduce himself and his purpose, the old man spoke first. "Hey, what the hell are you in trouble to come and see this old man?" Hear this sentence. His face seemed to light up with joy. "Master, you are really talented. I came here because I need to ask you for help." Master Li's expression did not change from beginning to end. He said sternly, "As far as I can see, the negative energy clings to you heavily. You must have done something wrong to owe the deceased person, so the unjust soul of that person follows you forever." No, it's not like that. It's an accident. I don't want it to be like that. It's all her fault," Julian stammered to reveal my loss of temper. After hearing Julian's words, Master Li sighed softly, stood up, and walked over to him, telling him, "Everything in the world has cause and effect. Good or bad in the end will have a worthy reward. This old man has never interfered with the law of cause and effect because I can't interfere even if I wanted to. So as for what you're going to ask me for today, there's probably nothing this old man can do." Hearing this, Julian, who was normal, suddenly collapsed. If Master Li didn't help him, it would be considered the last life buoy cut off. He knelt down and begged, "Master Li, I'm really sorry. I really regret it. Please save me this time." Master Li turned around and didn't look at him. "If you really regret it, this is not impossible." Julian's eyes lit up, and he suddenly raised his head. "Really? Please tell me what I have to do so that she won't stalk me anymore. I'll give you a great thank you." Master Li smiled slightly, turned around, and pointed out, "Now that you go to the police station and confess to the crime you have committed, the woman may feel your sincerity and spare your life." As soon as Master Li finished speaking, Julian's face stiffened. He hurriedly begged, "Master Li, don't joke like that. I can't go to confession. Please help me. I've heard your name for a long time. You must have a way to help me." Seeing Julian's miserable appearance, Master Li smiled slightly, as if it was all in his plan. "If you force this old man to get entangled in cause and effect, it can backfire. Maybe the trajectory of your life will be changed, or the outcome of things will not go as you want." Master Li continued, "If that's the case, do you still want me to interfere in this cause and effect?" Julian stared blankly at the ground with his eyes wide open. His heart seemed to constrict. After a while, he seemed to relax, sighed, and smiled helplessly. "I don't know what to do. I think even if I give up, she will still haunt me forever." Seeing him like this, Master Li also sighed, then turned around and went into the inner room and whispered, "Wait for me here." A moment later, Master Li came out with a bronze mirror in his hand. It looks ancient, old, like it has been for a very long time. Master Li pointed to the bronze mirror in his hand, and he began to explain the method of exorcism. This bronze mirror can absorb demons and destroy demons. If that woman reappears, you can point this bronze mirror at her and suck the ghost into this mirror, and all your problems can be solved. Seeing the bronze mirror and hearing what Master Li said, Julian suddenly had hoped. A glint flashed in his eyes. "Oh, thank you. I will definitely repay you when I'm done." "Okay, I'll wait for you too until it's all over," Master Li mumbled behind him as Julian left, with a smile on his face, seemingly unconcerned about being rewarded. Julian carefully took care of the bronze mirror and went out. Julian went out the door but did not return home, but his car turned at a junction. After that, the car drove to the old town east of the city, and finally entered a residential area. He is heading to the place that used to be his love nest and his ill-fated little mistress. Stepping into the apartment, Julian feels like entering another world. The world is truly unpredictable. He never expected this place to be the place he wanted to go the most, but now in his eyes, this place has become disastrous. If it weren't for his life being threatened, he would never have stepped into this house again in his life. When he entered the room reeked of mold and dust. As soon as he entered the house, Julian knelt down. He cried and expressed regret. "Sophia, I know you are somewhere around here. Please forgive me. I really know my fault, it's all my fault." As soon as Julian finished speaking, he could feel movement in front of him, and the cold, murky wind blowing through him made him shiver. The light in the dark room, an eye-popping red that seemed to glow melancholy, appeared nowhere. Julian couldn't see the woman's face. Her face was already hidden in the dark. But the voice kept echoing in my ears, from time to time coming closer. "Is it too late to repent now? For the past 4 years, why haven't you repented?" Julian was afraid to lower his head, crying, regretting, begging. "Sophia, it's me. I'm wrong. This time I'm really sorry and begging you." The woman's voice was still cold, as if she were talking to a dead person. "Do you want to make up for the crime of killing me and killing your child? Today I will definitely kill you to avenge my baby and me." After saying that, the witch let out a frightening roar, raised her extremely sharp nails, and rushed forward, about to tear the man in front of her into pieces. "You really deserve to die, you animal in human disguise. How dare you to kill my baby and me? The baby is also your child." Julian did not panic at this time. "Sophia, you force me because you won't forgive me. I can't sit still and wait to die. Don't blame me." Julian quickly took out the bronze mirror and shone it at the ghost girl. When the bronze mirror reached the ghost girl, it emitted a dazzling light that almost illuminated the entire room. Julian only felt the bronze mirror in his hand tremble for a while and then stopped moving. Julian turned over the bronze mirror. His figure was not reflected in the mirror. Sophia's bloody face was covered in it, and there was a scolding sound. "You bastard, animal, dare to deceive me, quickly release me." Julian smiled coldly, scornfully, smugly. "It was you who took it on yourself." But at this moment, Julian suddenly felt a sharp pain in his chest. His heart was beating so hard as if it was about to explode. He hastily opened his shirt and saw that the position of his heart was protruding a large patch, as if something was about to burst out. He tried to push it down but couldn't. The force from the inside was too strong. Something sinister was eagerly gushing out of his chest. On his chest soon appeared a hole. There was an outstretched hand. It was the hand of a child. Then, just like that, the baby's whole body gushed out. The blood in his chest also poured out violently with the scratch. He could clearly feel a baby slowly crawling out of his body. The pain was so intense and terrible that it made him pass out. A moment later, Julian was awakened by a voice calling him. A child's voice, calling him a father. "Daddy. Daddy." Everything in front of him scared him to the extreme. Like he was in a horrible dream but vividly real. This shock made him unable to bear it anymore. He fell on his back and died on the spot. Not long after, a few cracks appeared on the bronze mirror. A woman in a red dress came out of the mirror. She gently lifted the child from the pool of blood and smiled a strange smile. "Well done, my son." After that, a white spirit slowly appeared. It was Julian's ghost leaving his body. His soul was motionless, like a puppet. At this time, the face of the red-dressed witch showed a proud and happy expression. "My baby, our family is finally reunited. Are you happy? From this day forward, our family will never be separated again, my dear." Their silhouettes go out the door and fade away, fade and disappear in this dark room.